ครับสวัสดีครับคุณณัฐกรครับคุณวรวีครับ
Good afternoon ครับ
Dr. Panitan, what is your opinion on the announcement of the Israel's preemptive strike to Iran without notifying the U.S.?
Well, I think the escalation of tension in the Middle East on the nuclear issue between Iran and the U.S. and Israel has been ongoing for some time. Now we have seen a new level of tension, and of course this worries a lot of countries. On one hand, of course, we understand that the nuclear proliferation issue is very serious.
Yes.
Among many countries. But on the other hand, Iran seems to be determined to develop what is called a peaceful nuclear energy. I think we actually need to call for these countries to exercise constraints and restraints and to make sure that there will be no open arms conflict. But of course, the situation now is not that good since last month. Of course, the confrontation between the Iranian and the U.S. Navy ships is not a good sign since last month. So
Yes.
as of now, I think we saw another new level of escalation.
I see. So there's an escalation. And Dr. Panitan, would you think that this pronouncement by the Israeli state, do you think it is just a bold statement or whether they might go ahead and launch a preemptive strike? What's the chance of military confrontation?
Well, it is a rather aggressive diplomatic move. Indeed, of course, this is perhaps designed to send a clear message to Iran. But of course, in real military terms, usually strikes happen when you expected least, or surprise attacks that adopted by Israel in the past has been more effective. So we question the announcement as of the real military value. But of course, in the diplomatic terms, this is a clear signal.
I see. And Dr. Panitan, if there is a military confrontation and if there is a preemptive strike, would you think that this might lead to a war between the United States and Israel against Iran?
Well, I think there will be a support of some kind from the U.S. To Israeli, but of course, the elaborated plan of Israeli to have a surgical strike on the side that are threatening to the Israeli security from time to time is received by the public, but of course more and more it's more difficult to accept the Israelis aggression at this type. So we don't know yet, but of course we don't know yet how the international community will react. But the U.S. certainly will lend certain kind of support to Israel.
Dr. Panitan, if they actually go to war, what will be the repercussion to Asia, especially Thailand?
Of course, every time when we see the tension in the Middle East, the oil prices tend to go up very high, and of course, as they go up, when they go down very very slow compared to when they go up very quickly. So the impact on the economic is maybe more immediate. But of course, in the longer terms, perhaps a confrontation between Israelis and the U.S. Against some of the Middle East countries may have a spillover to many U.S. allies in the region. So we have to be also careful and raise up our security level to make sure that there will be no opportunities to use Thailand as a target. So that we have to also be prepared.
I see. And Dr. Panitan, there's a related development that the EU has launched one of its harshest sanctions against Syria by freezing the assets of several Syrian military leaders. Do you think that this might pressure the Syrian government to step down? And do you think that these two developments are related?
Well, I think the sanctions usually decide to increase the level of pressure, as you mentioned. But of course, we learned that most sanctions are less effective when it comes to the security issues or the security concerns of the nations. This is why you can see maybe the hardening position in the beginning. when you have sanctions like this, Burma is a case in point. South Africa many years ago is another case in point. The sanctions doesn't do immediate effect in the short term, but in the longer term, it could decide. It could be used as a tool to increase the leverage, but we don't expect the immediate turnaround in Syria due to the sanctions.
I see. Dr. Panitan, well, before we leave today, I have to ask you another question now that Iran is a major oil supplier to China as well as Russia, and with these two countries, China and Russia, opposing a United Nations Action Task Force into Syria if there is military confrontation between the United States plus Israel towards Iran. Do you think that China and Russia will join on to Iran's side?
Well, it is less likely that there will be a confrontation between major powers at this point, as they share a lot of interest in terms of commercial and other interests. Of course, you can see indirect support or some kind of proxy confrontations. And this is not what we want to see, but indeed, if the development is going this way, we could see some kind of the split decisions between major powers to support different clients and different allies, and that is not a good situation that we want.
I see.
All right. Thank you so much for joining our program today, Dr. Panitan.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes. Goodbye,